Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here. I have attempted to record this video multiple different times in a few different ways, and I think this is kind of going to be the best way to do it. Bungie cannot delay Shadow and Order. They, at least for me personally, they can't. For me personally, they cannot delay Shadow and Order a second time. It cannot be late June. It has to be the first week of June. The first week, like the second week of June at the latest. That is the latest that they can push it back for me personally. Now, those of y'all that have been on the channel for a little bit, you'll know that I have been planning on a Destiny 2 event for a while. That event will have to be scrapped if Bungie pushes back Shadow and Order. Reason being, that last week of June, I'm kind of going to be elsewhere doing some other things, some IRL things and whatnot. Of course, when the event's still going on, I'll be participating in that event or whatever. But they cannot push into July. There are two main reasons for this. Number one, Halo on the PS5 remake the Halo on the PS5 is rumored to come out in the summer. Also, Sparking Zero DLC and Marvel's Tokon Fighters are supposed to be releasing August 8th. I'm not bleeding into that time. And of course, in September is Marvel's Wolverine and Phantom Blade Zero. I am not going to bleed into either of those territories. The updates have taken way too long as is. Now, the thing is, here's what I will say. If I did delays this again, they're cooked. Like, it's actually cooked. There's too much stuff releasing this summer, especially during the fall. They kind of, at least from a business perspective, they cannot delay Shadow and Order. They can't afford to. They cannot afford to and keep a lot of, and bring back a lot of endgame players, because we know we're getting Pantheon 2.0. Based on what I've seen, it's going to be encounters from Leviathan, Crown of Sorrow, and some like the older raids. But it's only going to be individual encounters. That's what I've heard, but that might have changed. That might have changed pretty drastically. Now, in terms of raid loot refresh, I believe all of the raids are getting a loot refresh. So there's that. Now, before I get into Shadow and Order update stuff, real quick, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about Sony. I'm going to give my business perspective, why it makes perfect sense, why Sony has come out not really mentioning Destiny 2, but they are, pushing Marathon. I'm going to give my business perspective on things, in terms of the best, from not necessarily business perspective, because Sony's not smart. I mean, look at Concord, look at their live service games. Sony has been known for single-player games, not live service. If they were business smart, they would have made a Bloodborne 2, or they would have ported Bloodborne to the PC or remastered Bloodborne if they were actually smart. Everybody knows that would make huge money. Also, they have taken way too long to make a God of War remake. I'm glad it's happening, but holy shit, have they been waiting a fat chunk of time. Now, something to keep in mind here. Everything I'm about to say, from this point until I let you know I stop, is from Sony's perspective. They have to support Marathon. So, they have to support Marathon. Way too much money was dumped into Marathon. They just cannot afford it to just fail. And, they spent a lot of money. Marathon, of course, is not as done as well as Sony would have liked. They have to support it. They have to. They already failed with Concord. They cannot afford another one. Now, which is why, of course, I'm guessing the higher-ups at Bungie told the Marathon team, hey, you cannot stay a pure extraction shooter. You can't. This ain't working. Add some semblance of PvE. They've added PvE now. Is that going to help in the grand scheme of things? No. But, because Marathon's issues run pretty deep. I think it runs deeper than people realize, but I think it's a good step forward. Adding a PvE mode is a good step forward. Adding a more of a chill mode in terms of PvP, I think is also a great change. Um, Sony just spent way too much money on this game. They spent way too much money. Considering what was released, they spent way too much money. Way too much money. There's just so many other games that... Kingdom Hearts! Kingdom Hearts! I know the Kingdom Hearts community has been waiting for a fourth fucking game for ages. They could have spent their money on that. Or have Bungie make like a Halo competitor. They could have done that. Like, what are we doing? Sony! But yeah, they have to support the project. It makes perfect sense for them. The reason why they are not talking about Destiny 2 or anything like that, I only see two possibilities. One, they actively want Destiny 2 to fizzle out. They actively want Destiny 2 to fizzle out. So, and then, have somebody working on Destiny 3. I would say that's probably the case if there are no layoffs. Well, if there's no mass layoffs. If we don't see mass layoffs, Sony's like, okay, we're just going to let Destiny 2 fizzle out a little bit. Or maybe give it one last hurrah, that sort of thing. I'm guessing that this did not happen recently. This would have happened quite a bit of time ago. But been like, hey, you're working on Destiny 3 now. Or if not a Destiny 3, maybe like a smaller project. Like more of a Destiny Dark Ages or something like that. Something similar to Destiny Rising. Where it starts way in the past. Maybe during the Golden Age instead of beyond, Destiny 2's timeline. So... that's kind of what I'm thinking here. By the way, I forgot to mention in the background, you're going to be seeing a Moro setup. But, sorry, I just had to mention that real quick. So that is something to consider, that is a possibility. That's what I'm personally going to assume if we don't see mass layoffs at Bungie. Bungie's just bleeding too much money. Bungie's bleeding too much money right now. They need a Destiny 3. They actually just need a Destiny 3. Marathon's not going to make enough back. It just isn't. It would have to, even Arc Raiders level of blowing up would not have made Marathon enough money to cover both games. It would have had to have been Doom Eternal levels of popular. You could not escape Doom Eternal in 2020. Those are the levels, or even Fortnite levels. That's the levels Marathon would have needed to be to save both games. So it was just super unrealistic for Marathon to really. And it's because it was a live service. If it was a single player game, the pressure would have been less. So. And it would have probably been better received if it was single player, honestly. But you can't do anything about that now. So Sony for now, probably going to divert all attention to Marathon, try to recoup as much of their money as possible. Now, speaking from a smart business perspective, about what is going to make the most money. Give Marathon full support for a year. You have to recoup some of those costs. You have to. You cannot just drop Marathon. I've never believed that they're just going to cut Marathon support immediately. I didn't know about an exact timeline, but they have to support Marathon for a full year. They have to try to recoup as much money as possible. 2. Destiny 2. You gotta announce, hey, we're giving it one less hurrah, or I would personally tell Bungie, hey, cut the mid-season updates. Cut it. If possible, I would try to condense some of the DLCs and have them release. And because the old model was DLC, at least in the same size, DLC update every 3 months, I would say a Renegades or Edge of Fate style expansion every 4 months. I would say every 4 to 4.5 months. I would push it and say 4. Hey, you got 4 months each expansion. Do not do any mid-season updates. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't need to do any of that stuff. Just expansion every 4 months. I would even go as far as to say, at this point, because so many people are off of Destiny at this point, I would say drop the epic versions of activities. I know that's going to be a hot take here, but at this point, I have a reason. I would just drop the epic versions of activities. I'm gonna go as far as to say if removing the portal is gonna take a lot of work, I would just keep the portal. I would just keep the portal. Again, just walk with me here. I would keep the portal. Be like, hey, we're just gonna try through these expansions. At the end, that's a wrap. Story done. That sort of thing. While this is going on, you are working on Destiny 3. You're working on D3. I think that's kind of, or if you're Sony and you don't have as much belief that Destiny 3 will be a big hit, I would have a Destiny 1 remaster. However, the reason why I'm saying Destiny 3 is the direction Sony will go in here is mainly because Sony doesn't really like to do remasters. Or remakes. They kind of don't. Uh, of course, they did it with Demon Souls. Demon Souls didn't do as well as Sony probably would have liked. If From Software would have been behind it, it probably would have been better received. Because even within the Demon Souls community, Demon Souls Remake is kind of looked at as a... they changed a little. They changed some stuff that was kind of important. They changed the whole vibe of certain areas. They mainly being the Tower of Latria. But also, keep in mind, Sony has not released many remasters or remakes for their games. God of War 1 is a recent one. So, that is something to consider here. Also, there's been no Kingdom Hearts, but that's besides the point. So that's what I'm going to personally assume, that they will likely do a Destiny 3 over a porting Destiny 1 to PC or remastering Destiny 1. Because let's be real here, Sony has probably taken over almost all of Bungie's higher-ups. Sony has probably taken over fully at this point. That would also explain a little bit of the funkiness more than usual recently. In terms of not just Bungie comms, because Bungie has never communicated really since Witch Queen. At least it started with it started during Witch Queen. Lightfall actually had to, so the year of Lightfall actually had some good communication, but Witch Queen is where it really started. But also even in terms of the Marathon side of things, it's just been a little funky, it feels like, with Bungie HQ. So I'm assuming Sony has almost fully taken over Bungie leadership and whatnot. At least higher up, of course, not to the level of game directors and that sort of thing. So there's that. Now, what I would personally as a player like to do with Destiny, I would only support Marathon for 6 months. We just gotta be realistic here. All the Marathon trailers, especially when they were shown during State of Play, they did not do nearly as well as even some indie games. Like, I'm sorry, but you should have realized that Marathon was just not going to be a popular game when your trailers are not getting that many views. And when I said Marathon's issues runs pretty deep, I'm meaning deep in terms of Bungie. Bungie does not have a good reputation. And I have talked about this before. Reputation matters a lot. That's why Duskbloods is not going to necessarily fail, even though it is on the Switch 2. It will probably become a top-selling game on the Switch 2 because From Software is tied to it. Yes, it has PvP for some fucking reason on a Nintendo console, but it's From Software. Also, Armored Core, Fires of Rubicon, probably brought a lot of people that are not even that big fans of the Armored Core series because From Software's name is attached to it. So, studio reputation does matter. Bungie has a terrible reputation. Also, Marathon's going to be eating up some resources. It's going to be eating up some resources. You have to work on a Destiny 3. You have to. Now, I was not agreeing that a Destiny 3 was needed until halfway through Lightfall. That's where I was like, ooh, a Destiny 3 might actually start being needed. And I'm not just talking about... It's mainly engine. Those of y'all have been around for a while. Telesto has broken the game so many fucking times. Way more often than it has in D1. Also, I have experienced live service games not having downtime every single week. First Ascendant does not have fucking downtime every single week. To be fair, it doesn't majorly update every single week, but like, holy shit. We have had a few live service games here and there that have updated in major ways, and they don't have to have service downtime for multiple hours, usually. Also, expansion launches are historically not great. At this point, this is an old game. This is an old game. Old game. Like, it's about time for an engine upgrade. Now, keep in mind for some other live service games like First Ascendant, Freyna lags the shit out of the game. It's mainly her. She's the main fucking issue. This game doesn't have that many issues in terms of strict dropping FPS most times. It is a little bit on the rarer side. But yeah, engine is the main reason why I wanted Destiny 3. And build a better one from the ground up that's maybe made to last a little bit longer. My personal opinion, Wrath of the Machine, you can either save it for a Destiny 3 release or give it to Destiny 2 as like a, hey, last hurrah type deal. And then if you want to just start doing the reprised raid things again, you have to do the Destiny 2 raids that were cut. In my personal opinion though, I would like all of the old Destiny 1 raids back. Because they were in the game originally. That is unlikely though. Scourge of the Past is probably most likely because some of the assets are still in the game physically that you can probably get to. Not through legitimate means, of course, but yeah. Also, at some point, you gotta use the Galaxy Pools. Those of y'all that don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Those of you that do know what it is, I would like that to be used before you kind of finish the game. You can't keep going like this. You can't keep going like this. Now, last bit of housekeeping shenanigans. In terms of the new event I plan on hosting, Operation Sherpa. Again, if Bungie delays it, it will not be happening. I have a Discord set up now. Like, I have, like, stuff has, you know, really started to come together. And if it's delayed, the event's not going to happen. The event's not going to happen. It just cuts way too close to other stuff I got going on. And from a content creator's perspective, I kind of had to think about that a little bit here. Even though I do this more as a hobby or whatever. I'm not going to dump a ton of time into event stuff and whatnot. When, like, for Tokon Fighters, I gotta focus up, you know. I gotta get my fighting game focus on. And also, you know, there's some other stuff I want to do, you know. I'm gonna be having 007 running concurrently. Lego Batman Review, I'm gonna be putting that out, right? Which, that's gonna take me some time to play. So, yeah, there's just other stuff I want to do. And if no event happens, then, because I'm not terribly interested in the Ride of the Nine saga or whatever, I'm not terribly interested in it. It's just the story developments are happening way too far. At least the important story developments are happening way too far apart. So by the time the next expansion comes out, I forget what happened previously. So it'll be time for me to ride off into the sunset if it gets delayed too much. Like, 1 week is the max. June 10th is like the max I'm going to be able to do. Any later than that, and unfortunately the event will be cancelled. So yeah, that's all for today's video. Let me know what y'all's thoughts in the comments below. Now, a couple things I was saying. It's okay to love a game. It's okay to love a game. Like, I love Bloodborne. Bloodborne, Stellar Blade, and Doom Eternal are my top 3 games of all time. And I know Marathon community, y'all love Marathon. those like Destiny players love Destiny. But the second you cannot recognize anything wrong with the game, or recognize that your game is niche, or will never be like a mega success or anything, that's when you are the problem. That's when you are the problem. Bloodborne, if it was ported over to PC in this state, it would not go over well. In this state, like, you have to mod the game to make it super duper playable. I know Bloodborne has issues. Y'all know how much I love Bloodborne. At least on the PS4, it can barely hit 30 FPS. On the PS5, like, that's like, just being real here, Bloodborne needs a graphical update of some sort. Bloodborne does not, like, ooh, there's some shit in there that look rough as fuck. Also, Bloodborne's mid-game is not good. Childless Dungeons, not good. Soulblade has issues. Y'all know I hate the double deserts. Like, sure, I like me some double Ds, but not when that second D is a desert. No. Doom Eternal. Y'all know how I feel about that, about Mick Gordon not being there. Especially for Doom Dark Ages. So, you can love a game and recognize what's wrong with it. And the Marathon players that can recognize that you can recognize, hey, Marathon will never be as successful as Bungie needs it to be. But I still like the game. You can appreciate that. But you gotta understand here. Destiny, like, Bungie will close down if Marathon becomes a priority for too long. Bungie will close down if Marathon becomes too much of a priority. You need Destiny to succeed. So then Bungie can work on a project that they like Marathon, for instance. You need Destiny to succeed. So then you don't have to worry about, having to make a ton of money. But yeah, on that note though, let me know what you think in the comments below. Tomorrow I will be streaming some Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers again, from 4 to 7 Eastern Time, and Monday it will be the same time as well. We're going to double up this week, also Monday, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be doubling up on Wu-Chang here. And it'll be the same, next weekend, of course, Torchic won't have it off. We'll probably do some more Wu-Chang. Unless y'all want to see some Lego Batman. If y'all want to see some Lego Batman, let me know as well. So on that note though, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the flip side.